This is an anonymous question from a CEO of a small organisation saying, wanting to know about board reporting and accountability. And the question is about who is the board accountable to, Jodie? And what are some of the ways that we can streamline our board reporting to make it more relevant and give us the insights that allow us to be more strategic?
Wow, that's a huge question.
A great question.
I guess who is the board accountable to? So accountable to the communities that you're there to serve, your customers, your consumers, your clients, their families, whatever it is that you do. I mean, ultimately, without them, whether they're paying for the service or not, whether it's subsidised or not, without them, you don't have an organisation, you don't have a business. And I guess the other accountability is from a legislative point of view. There's obviously legislation and legal structures and liabilities. So if you're registered with the Australian Charities Not-for-Profit Commission, you're accountable to adhere to the governance principles there, and conduct yourself ethically and not have conflicts of interest. And there's some core things that it doesn't matter really whether it's a company limited by guarantee or cooperative or an incorporated association or whatever. Ultimately, we're all accountable to do things that are legal, and do them ethically and do them in a way that preserves people's dignity. And that includes, the fellow people around the table, and obviously operating in a safe environment, or creating safe environments for people. So whether that's staff from a workplace health and safety point of view, and you're also accountable to your funders and your donors, and people who are volunteering their time. I guess these are all the stakeholders that boards need to consider. But I'm a big fan of having a stakeholder management plan, because then the board are aware of who those stakeholders are, what interests they have, and ways to engage with them appropriately. And that could be, part of the board chair's role, every quarter meeting with the CEO and one of the big customers or clients. Or it could be, having a better understanding about what feedback we're getting from our customers and our stakeholders, and are we in fact, doing a good job. So I guess that links with the accountability but also the board reporting. And I think often board reports are way too long. I've never ever come across ones that are really too short. So, if I'm in the shoes of as a CEO or executive officer, that's really a conversation you need to have with the chair, but also the rest of the board. And there's a difference between what does the board need to know that give them insights of leading and lagging indicators about performance, versus the things they're curious about and that they just want to know. So we have to differentiate the two. And I'm also a big fan of having an annual governance calendar that covers off on reporting on key things at points in time. So that, for example, your compliance against legislation, and, making sure you're up to date with things like BAS and super and all those sort of things, versus, case studies and client stories or stories about the impact that your organisation's making, and peppering that out throughout the year. There's some non-negotiables that need to be in every report, and that's really about risk. And by risk, I don't mean just financial risk. I mean reputation, about safety, branding, all those sort of things. And I think a lot of people make it too complicated. If you have to do reports for your funders, try and be assertive and try and do it in a way that meets your needs, not just gives them lots of data. And can you use that same reporting format for the board? Try and report once, use often, as best as possible.